Last time we were in the Upside Down and Stranger Things. Now we're heading into the Marvelverse. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a special one. Join me as we go beyond the take. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is me, your host, actor, producer, Marc Chouen of Beyond the Take. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is a dear friend of mine. I've known him for 10 years now, which is wild. That means I've been in this industry shit, a long time. So give it up for my man. He's kind of been like a mentor to me in different ways. Ladies and gentlemen, Jaime Zevallos.
How's it going, Mark? Mentor, man. I'm honored.
You seriously, like, I feel like you've kind of, especially like the last few years, I mean, like, yeah, I go to you for a lot for advice. You've definitely been in this industry longer than I have and done a lot of great things. And I feel like anytime I talk to you, I learn something new. So I guess like, yeah, kind of like a mentor in a way.
Oh, that's really nice of you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It dawned on me today. I was like thinking about this stuff. And I was like, man, wow. Like we go back. I mean, dude, we met on a Comedy Central show, 2016. And
Wow, 2016. Jeez.
right?
I
Right? And
remember
like
that. Yeah, in Brooklyn.
in Brooklyn, right? It's funny, the PA that was helping us, Kevin Woods, I've become good friends with him as well. Like we're still in touch to this day. I see him actually in the wrestling world, believe it or not.
I know,
Uh,
I know. That's exciting.
so it's like that show. I met like two really good friends from there, and I've never seen a residual check from it.
I have, but that's another story.
Let's get into your journey, man. I mean, like you've been at this for some time. Like too long. How long has it been for you?
Wow. Oh, Jesus. 25, 27. Like 27 years, maybe?
And look, you look younger than me. That's
27.
insane.
Yeah, I'm a vampire, so
You are a vampire. You're a vampire. For
for
those
hire.
that for those that don't know, Jaime and I we worked in a movie, Vampire for Hire, together. Uh, I helped produce. Jaime, he's a mastermind behind it, along with Nick Turturro. Let's talk about that, man. That experience, like that came out of nowhere.
That came out of nowhere. That actually came out of the writer strike, which was really cool, and the actor strike. I forgot which one. That whole like
There was like it was happening at the same time at that point. Yeah.
I think so. I think together, if we lump it all time-wise, it has to be over. I think it was like a year. It was a long stretch. It felt like the second pandemic.
It really did in many ways. I feel like that was actually harder than the pandemic. And it's funny enough, like I feel like 2025, I don't know if you can relate, but I feel like 2025 was harder than both years combined.
2025 was just a weird year for a lot of us, man. And
Yeah.
I worked a little bit, but it was just it was good when the year was over. I was like, all right, I'm trying to like, you know. New energy, new projects, new stuff on the horizon. But yeah, 2025 was a tough year for me, for sure. I think still keeling a lot of it, I think we felt from kind of like the keeling over from the strike, because that strike was worse than the pandemic in the sense of there was no work. At least during the pandemic, we were all masked up on set. This was like, oh,
Right.
there's I think roughly it was a year and a half. Don't quote me on that, but I think it felt like a long time.
The strike. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, no, I think it felt like a year and a half, but I think it was actually less. But like, yeah, at least during the strike, I mean, there was an excuse for like why there's no work, right? And then like, I remember hearing my manager and everyone saying like, oh, at the end of 2024, it's like, oh, get ready for 2025. It's gonna be a great year, blah, blah, blah. Everything's coming back. And then I feel like almost like a day or two after I got that email from my manager, it's like, boom, the fires happened,
Right.
right? And it's like, well, there goes that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I know. I had done a State Farm commercial.
No, oh my God,
It
that's right.
it wasn't too, I guess, friendly, for fire friendly. It was a Super Bowl ad. So it was kind of wild, you know what I mean? But it's okay. I get it.
Did it ever air?
No.
No. Oh my God.
I don't think so. But it's okay. That's like, like I just said, I think I've been in the industry on and off 27 years roughly. Has to be 20. I think I was like 19 or 20, I think.
That's amazing.
Kind of a long time, man. It's freaking
All
me
right.
out how long ago it was, man. But it's okay. It's you have to make the years count though, you know?
Absolutely, man. Like, I'm coming into my 11th year myself, and it's just like, whoa, where did the time go? I just feel like yesterday I was in banking and, aspiring to be in this world. And now I'm in my 11th year. I was like, shit.
In the
It
world.
goes,
Yeah.
yeah, it goes fast, man. But you've done a lot of stuff. I mean, you're not just an actor. You are a producer, you're a writer, you're a director. At what point in time? I mean, is that something that you always wanted to get into in that world, or was it acting always first for you?
No, it was never. It wasn't any of those things, to be honest with you. It wasn't acting, wasn't directing, wasn't anything. It was actually, I come from the art world, actually. My love of doing, street art, I was one of those graffiti artists, but then I started getting actually really, it was kind of weird. I started doing graffiti and then I noticed I started liking to draw more than anything, and I could actually get like spray cans and like different types of like acrylic and oil and like markers and like paint really good. It was like it was just it's like innate, it's like in you. And I noticed the same thing I was doing with acting. I was watching a lot of movies and then I would like mimic, a really bad job at mimicking the actor in the scene. And I would like walk around and like replay the monologue in my head as I was like walking my dog or something. I was
Mm,
young, I was like 17, 18. And then I think there was like a point where I was probably a little lost, and I think that art finds a lot of people like that are genuinely like or anything, find something when someone's at a down stage in life, you know what I mean? And it definitely
yeah.
wasn't like I wasn't on the upswing of life. I was probably like 18, wasn't a I was never really a C student, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, you went to CW Post just like me, so I get it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I was a poor student. I was like a D student most of my life. I was not a good student, man. And I think I was at Queensborough Community College and I was like just trying to take like core classes because I knew I wanted to go to like a 4-year school. And then I kind of just, I don't know what it is. I just put it in my head that I was like, well, because I was taking art classes as well just to fill like, get some credits going. And I remember, I think I went to go see a play and I go, oh, I think this looks really fun and easy. I think I
Mhm.
should do this for a living. And again, innocence is ignorance is bliss.
Mm.
Uh, and I remember I put on a really nice outfit. At the time, we lived in the town called Great Neck, New York, which is like the border between Queens and Long Island. It's like the first town, right, in Long Island. And I took the Long Island Railroad, and many of those who are around, even closer to my age or late 30s, will remember something called the Ross Reports. This is like
Oh my
almost
God.
pre-IMDb,
I haven't read that in
pre-IMDb.
forever.
And so I went to a 7-Eleven by my house and there's a Ross Reports and I walked in, I took the train into the city and I knocked on every agent's door until someone, I was very lucky, said yes.
Oh, so you've always been like really like a go-getter. Like since I've known you, like I feel like I don't want to use the word aggressive, but like you know what you want and like you set your mind to it and you accomplish it. Um
Yeah.
and like so that seems like that was always the case for you. Was it?
I think that was one of those things where like I think in my personality, I think I'm more like of a thinker, right? And then when I like decide to do it, I like go like all out, you know?
And that's amazing. Like
So
that takes
I don't like,
cojones.
yeah, I don't like to move just to move. I like to like plan, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
really do like to plan and going like, because when I did say, I remember, I think I told my mom that I wanted to be an actor. I think I told myself first that I wanted to be an actor, and I was like, I think I can do it. And I think I just was like obsessively reading the Ross reports. And what I thought about acting was like it was like a job. I was like, well, if I can get an agent, then I can get on set, and if I can get on set, I can make a living.
Mm.
And it was as innocent as that. And then I was on my first gig was a show for Viacom for MTV, rest in peace.
Oh
Um,
man, I know.
it was a show called I Spy Video. It was where we had to do like we'd watch like music videos and we'd do like these like truth or dare things. And if you lost the dare, you'd have to do these skits.
Oh my God, that sounds actually fun. I don't remember that one.
It was yeah, it was like around the time that Boiling Points came out. We did like I want to say 30 episodes,
Oh wow.
short-lived, really super short-lived. So like in one of the skits, they made me go walk like a dog in Times Square and pee on people.
Wait, wait a minute.
Yeah, I have it on VHS somewhere.
Lucky for you, like there's no VHS players around. Wait, so
Yeah.
did you? How did that work?
Not really
Exactly.
pee on. I'm sorry.
Right, 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 right,
It was
right.
all make pretend.
Okay, right,
Make
right.
pretend pee on people. You know what I mean? Like go up to them, lift the leg up and just, bark at them. And just it started like that, and it was just like these like funny little skits. But the cool thing about the show was that it was on Monday through Friday,
Mhm.
and I got to see myself on television. It was like, whoa, 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 this is tripping me out, you
Right.
know? And then I decided to take a class, my first acting class in community college, and I took a Shakespeare class. That was my first class, and I knew that I knew nothing. And I was just like, all right, here we go. This is like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And so I want to say like, it was fun because though I wasn't a good high school student, when I found acting, I really enjoyed like um I enjoyed like the world of academia. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Like this is cool. Mind you, I didn't know anything about like Yale or Juilliard. I had no idea that these kind of places existed. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just knew that I was in community college taking a little acting course and I had an agent and I was going on auditions. I
Oh,
didn't
that's
have
awesome.
I didn't have actor friends. I didn't have the actor world, right? I didn't have anyone to be like, "Hey, I want to share my problems with you." Nothing. And so I started writing a lot while I was in community college. I took a course, a playwriting course, and I started writing play and creative writing. And then, yeah, eventually that led to film school, but that's a whole nother thing as well. But yeah, it all kind of just happened.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And then like, it's funny because you say you're always an artist, right? And that's very clear. That's always been clear to me when I met you. But what astounded me when I first met you, and like continues to astound me, is just like how business savvy you are in terms of the industry. That's where I really, really, really feel like I learned a lot from you. Talk to me more about that. Like, you say you weren't a good student, and I do believe you, but like, how did that come to be? Like, have you always had that business sense to you in that world, or like, is this
Uh,
just stuff you've come to learn over the time?
I think it's survival, right? Like, I think it just happens, I come from immigrant parents. I'm an immigrant myself. I came to this country when I was a baby, but still you have survival. I think like seeing your parents navigate their way through this country, seeing you navigate yourself, I guess. Um, I don't know. I don't know any other way. I think I had to say a lot of it's probably because of my parents, seeing how hard they worked and how smart they worked. And again, just seeing probably my folks navigate through that and then seeing other friends as, successful parents and successful friends. And I think I just took acting like, and I still do take it as a business.
Because it is a
Because
business.
yeah, because I think I jumped into it just going like, hey, maybe I could make a living doing this, like really innocently. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I didn't have like high expectations. I remember the show when we were on like I want to say our second or third week on the air, I was in Times Square with one of the other cast members, and someone asked me for an autograph in front of the MTV building.
How
I
did
thought
that
that,
feel?
that was like that was so crazy to me, man. But I was like, oh, okay, this is like one of the benefits of this. There'll be benefits, right, to this world, I think. But I never did it with hopes of anything more than just seeing if I could make a living doing
Right.
this. And I'm still kind of in that world, you know what I mean? We're just lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, for sure. There's luck. There's of course there's skill, but like there's a matter of just like being scrappy and finding a way to survive. Like this is something like we love, and we just find a way to keep doing what we love. Right at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got to roll with the punches, and having gone to film school, I think was a really cool like tool for me because when I went, we both went to the same university. Uh, go Pioneers.
Are they still called that? Yeah,
I
go
think
sure.
so.
Go Pioneers.
Yeah, yeah, CW Post. Um, I think the cool thing about where I was at my age during this time when I was already working. I had booked a couple of like movies. I had booked this small Spike Lee movie called Summer of Sam, a tiny little
Oh
role.
yeah.
And then it was very indie, but it was a really cool movie. I booked a couple of other indies. I remember I quit one indie. I quit. That's actually a funny story. I arrived to set. I was working at Macy's. I was selling
Mhm.
women's shoes at Macy's. All my friends were calling me Al Bundy. It's an old reference. Half the audience won't get it, but I'm selling women's shoes because now I'm like really focused on acting. I'm studying acting. I'm like really like reading everything I can about like film, and I was like I went from like never wanting to read to like living in the library. I was like, let me read this book about producing. Let me read about the book. I would read books about filmmakers. Like, let me read like the life of Martin Scorsese, Woody Allen, whatever. And I'm just obsessively reading about these people. And I remember I took a PA job too. It didn't pay me. Because I told them, don't pay me. Don't like,
Oh
I don't want
wow.
to get paid. I want to learn. I was just wanting to learn as much as possible. And I was taking screenwriting courses at Hunter College through the Gotham Writers Workshop. That was, I don't know if they still exist. There were these like classes you pay like $50 and for like a month you study at Hunter College.
Oh wow. Cool. Yeah,
Gotham
I don't know if
Writers.
it exists either.
And so, you know, basically when I had gotten into when I got to a place where I knew nothing about the business, by the way, but I knew that when I going back to the why I quit that job is because I was selling women's shoes and my shift started around 5 or 6 p.m. and my call time was at 6 a.m. And in my scene, they hadn't got to my scene yet, and it was
Oh.
around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or something like that. And I went up to the director. I'll never forget this. I went up to him in the bar. It was a restaurant set, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, man, I gotta go. I think this is really rude of you guys." Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. I said, "I gotta
Oh
be, I
my
gotta be at
God.
work at 5. So if I'm gonna stay on this movie, it's gotta like I can't just sit around and wait." And I just said, hey, and he goes, no, no, no. I thought he would fire me. And he goes, no, no, hang on, man. He was actually really cool to not, but he was
Yeah.
like, just hang out for a little bit. I'll make sure we get to your scene, like, da da da. And I'm like just waiting around. And I think it was like 4 o'clock. And I was like, I gotta go. And I just quit.
Have you seen that director since?
No, no, no.
No, yeah.
I again, and then I remember I was PAing this movie, which I think the director ended up doing a couple of other movies afterwards. But I
Mhm.
remember thinking it's everything, this is such a big deal. This is like, you're on set and everyone's making it a big deal. But I was always never fazed by that stuff. Like, oh man, all right,
Yeah.
it's another day on at work. I think because of going to films, like at that point in my time, my life, I kind of started going like, wait a minute, I got to get a degree in something. What do I get a degree in? and I was um, I was in community college, so I was like doing everything possible, studying theater, doing I even did stage managing for a play. I was like
What
everywhere.
haven't you done in this industry? Jesus.
I was like, let me do everything that I could possibly do. And then what I liked about CW Post, which was really cool, and I think this is what kind of like the practicality of who I am started. Um, I remember at NYU, I was already going, I took the tour and they said it's 2 years of theory first for in the Tisch program for the BFA. And I remember CW Post was the only one that was like, oh, you'll make your first movie the first week
Oh, wow.
on film. And I remember I was like, first week I'll make a movie. But in order for me to get into schools, I had already made a mini doc. It was like a 10, 15 minute documentary. Um, that's the only way I was able to get into schools, that
Wow.
and referral letters and all that stuff. But I was really immersed in cinema, and I still am, I
Mhm.
find myself when I'm not immersed, I'm very I don't, my life doesn't go right, when you almost have to be obsessed with this stuff.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Writer, director wise, like, who were your influences? Like, where do you draw your inspiration from?
I guess because I grew up in Queens and Long Island, and again, it was just that time, of when Sundance was like, the films were like between 50 to $250,000.
Yeah, not what Sundance is today. Yeah.
Not what it exactly. So it was like Ed Burns, Richard Linklater, um, probably I really liked the Coen brothers, and I think that was like a big, like, wow, it could get done, obviously Robert Rodriguez back then. And I really enjoyed those kinds of filmmakers that were making Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
um I watched Clerks and I was like, I don't at that time I didn't get it. I still maybe don't get it, but I was like, I get it. He had made his own signature, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about watching Clerks. I was like, oh, this is like we're seeing his world, you know what I mean? And again, I think that's when I was at school, and by the time I was at Post, I think that's when Ben Affleck and Matt Damon made Good Will Hunting. So then it was that school of like, oh, it could be done. You could do things your own way as well.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a really important part of my journey. The time that I was living in and what was going around in independent cinema was great.
No, that's awesome, man. Like, yeah, I mean, you're doing some cool stuff too. You've done a lot of cool movies. I know you did a movie with Eric Roberts when we first met.
Yeah, yeah.
Went to AFM with that. You've gone on to produce some other films. We produced Vampire for Hire together
Sure.
with Nick Turturro, and now Shooting Sid. Let's talk
Yeah,
about that, man. Like, I feel like that movie itself, and how you did it and everything could be the whole podcast by itself.
that could be the
How
whole
you did that.
pod. Yeah, yeah, of course. So we moved back to LA in like late 2022. And then, my wife and I were in New York for like 6 years. We were living in Manhattan. Then we moved back to LA, and then I moved like during the shutdown. And I remember, which was really cool, my wife and I, we booked a play out here. They call it the Fringe Fest. It's the most fun I've ever had, the Hollywood Fringe. It's probably the most fun I've had in theater because it was the coolest play. But I remember while that was going on, the writer strike, it was like the beginning of the writer strike. And I was like, oh, it's cute. Last like a month, you know.
Oh, how naive we were.
Yeah, and I was just really immersed in doing the play, and I was having such a great time. And I remember when the strike hit, I was like, oh geez, this is like a real thing. Like I don't see it, I don't see
Yeah.
this thing changing. So while the strike hit, I was fortunate enough to be part of this movie called The Kill Floor that one ended up winning Best Short at LA Shorts International. And I remember during that time that we were doing the whole festival circuit, the director came up to me and was like, "Hey man, there's a good friend of mine that likes your voice. She would like to consider you for a role for Disney Plus. It's a dubbing job." And I said, "Okay." And I spoke to her. I think I said I had experience dubbing. I never had experience dubbing or doing too much voiceover work, just ADR and stuff that I've done as an actor. Um, but I remember being in the booth and not knowing really what I was doing and felt very humbled as an actor, going like, wow, this is something new. This
Oh
is different.
wow.
I thought I'd done it all. And she just said, she said something very beautiful to me. She said, just stumble through, just
Mm,
stumble through, and you'll get through it. But
okay.
stumble forward is what she said.
Stumble
And I,
forward. Okay.
yeah, and I said, fuck, that. I said, geez, that's really cool. Like, stumble forward. Cut to like almost 2 years later, I worked on a plethora of TV shows, mainly for Netflix, but like voiceover, dubbing, a little bit of everything. I narrated a documentary that's on Netflix right now. It's a tennis documentary. So you just were like, man, I'm really like using my voice here as an actor, which was really different for me because I didn't realize that there was another world outside of like, on camera stuff. So I immersed myself in that, and I think around May, I just wanted to go back. I wanted to go back to New York to kind of like just be home for like a week. And our doggy got injured. He tore his ACL, and at the same time, my writing partner Mark and we ended up getting the rights back to something we sold. And we were like, hey, I think we could take a stab at doing like a short film or like a proof of concept. And mainly like I've raised money, I've did the whole gamut, like, working with investors and raising money for movies. But we decided to shoot like a proof of concept, and that proof of concept turned into a feature film that you're in.
Yes. Yes. That I am in. Um, that is amazing though. Like, because I do remember that you're coming in here. You're going to take a look at locations. I think too originally
Sure.
when you were originally supposed to come out,
Yeah, that's it.
right?
Look. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like kind of prep, go back to
Yeah, just
LA,
locations, go back to LA, and then what ended up
and
being
then
June, July, August, and then it was like almost 5 months.
it's
And it was
insane.
like,
And
whoa.
you shot the whole thing.
I pretty much shot the whole thing. It's funny, right after this, we have our first editing session for the assembly.
Mhm.
So after this Zoom, I'm gonna be in the Zoom and excited to figure out where we're at. I think we're done. I think we're done.
That's incredible though. I mean, like you shot the whole thing in pretty much like guerrilla style as well. Like it, hell, man. The day I was filming with you, you got yourself a concussion, I think, right?
Oh, and maybe no. I actually
Oh
tore
no,
my.
you tore your ankle.
I fum. I got a pretty bad. And it wasn't a fracture. It was just a sprain, but it was
Sprain.
pretty.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
That's
it
what it
set
was.
me back for like a month. It was pretty
Like
maybe
I feel
more.
like everything that could go wrong was going wrong for you personally, but you were like pushing through. You were stumbling forward,
I was
right, with
stumbling
the movie.
forward, right? And I think that's one of those things in life when, life is throwing just too much at you. I think that's when you just kind of have to hyper focus and just stay on your course. Because then you
Mm.
could easily go like, hey, I like basketball. I'm a big basketball fan, and I played basketball. I just wasn't that, you know, I don't know. Maybe I smoked too much cigarettes back then, But that was like probably like my goal. I was like, oh, I could be a professional basketball player. But I do like the word pivot a lot.
Mm-mm.
And
Mhm.
so it was a very tough summer for me and my family. I think I was going through a whole lot of, stuff up here and physically, but I was just like, you know what, if I can pivot and just kind of like go through the whole like this storm that I'm going, I might come out of it and like see, you know.
But you know what's crazy? You've talked to me a couple times about that. Like, if I didn't know you, if we weren't talking, if you never told me about any of this stuff, or even like you told me even when we were doing Vampire for Hire, you were like in a weird mental state too. You told me after the fact. Like, I have no idea. Like, you just always are like your hand is steady. You're a cool hand Luke. Like, how do you
Oh, man,
manage
I
that?
tried. Look, when we did Vampire for Hire, we were striking that day, and Nick Totoro and I, that we had done a movie together called Replica with Mickey Rourke. He said, "You know what? I really need to do something right now. I'm like, my creative juices are like, we got to do something." And I think that's the key, right, of the artist, right? Like we're like these like ducks that are just above water, but underneath we're like.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
every artist, every good artist that I know is in this perpetual state of going like, what's next? I got to figure this out. And like, obviously we live in a civilized society, can't lose your cool all the time. But like, I think a lot of my friends that are artists are always like on the what's next? I gotta find this thing. You know what I mean? It's like almost like we have a we have a new page and we have markers and we're like, we just want to draw more. We need to draw.
Right.
We don't
Right.
if we don't get to draw or play. I think that's when we can honestly, that's where it's dangerous for an artist to not practice their craft or to not work is dangerous, I think, because you're not feeding that child in you, you're not feeding it.
100%, man. Especially nowadays, like, you, I feel like you just can't be just an actor anymore. Especially now more than ever when you have this with the cell phone for those that are listening, when you just have the capability of like writing, shooting something with your friends, doing something, always moving forward. You create your own stuff. You can't just wait around and like wait for permission to express yourself, to follow your craft, to get the opportunity to act. It's there's a lot of things we can do.
Right. Right. No, for sure. I think in this time, you could have a lot of things, but I think excuses aren't really they're just excuses, you know what I mean? If you're an actor and their work is slow and you should always be doing something is what I'm saying. What's today? So Monday, no, I'm sorry, Tuesday, I'm part of this acting class that's a bi-coastal class, right? He comes from New York, does LA for a few months, goes back to New York. I'll refer you if you want. It's a
Oh,
great,
cool. Thank
great
you.
class. It's all practical. It's all about it's also a directing course too. So a lot of direct working directors are there. And I just remember like going like, wow, this is really filling my cup.
Hmm.
I was at the theater and I'm like running lines. It was like a 5-page scene. And I'm like in the moment, I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh, I just got the script. I don't know the lines. I'm like, all right, I got an hour to memorize 5 pages. I'm like, all right. I'm stressed out, but I'm looking around and I'm seeing nothing but, like actor quotes and because it's at a theater and you see all these like, old like memorabilia and like old pictures from productions they had in the 80s. And I was like, this place is a dump and I love it. You know, because I think that's really where like if you're not in a class or if you're not constantly making something, I think that's where it could be very dangerous for the artist to be at because you're not in a state of creating.
And then also like, nowadays with social media too, you just get this like I could see how you can get like this envy, like because everyone just posts like the highlights of themselves on social media. Like, it's a fake world that we live in on there. But, if you're not creating whatever and then you're just on your phone doom scrolling, it's like, oh well, they're doing something clearly. Oh, they're in something. Oh, blah blah blah. And just it's you just get stuck in here in your head. Like it's just I think any actor that's not creating or not actively in a class or whatever, like yeah, it's an excuse. You need to step on up.
I think also, yeah, like with social media too, like there's people like I feel guilty for not being more active on social media or for not like producing stuff for social media. And that's something like I'm figuring out this year that I'm like, all right, maybe I should like
Oh, you're going to get into the content game?
I think maybe. I'm just kind of like, I have this feature and a couple of shorts I directed last year that I really like, I'm figuring out the festival stuff right now. But I think also there's a time and place for all that stuff too, right? So it's like, yeah, social media is great for that, if you want to content create. But I think if you start comparing yourself to any other human being is just asking for like
But
just
that's what I'm trying to
bad.
say. Like, I feel like now it's like everyone's doing the comparison game. Well, not everyone, but like a lot of people doing the comparison game because it's easy to do on there. It's easy to fall into that trap of doing
Sure, and I think a lot of artists fail to realize. I remember a friend of mine was like, "You have the perfect life, man.
that. I was about to say, yeah,
You only post when everything's awesome." And I was like, "Dude, that's because I don't like, I don't dump on social media about my feelings,
right,
you know what
right.
I mean?"
Like I was telling someone recently, like 2025 was like the worst year of my life, and they were shocked. Like, what do you mean? Like, you booked Law and Order, like you were in
Sure.
a deadline. Thank you, by the way. Like you know, you were doing cool stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, my dog died. I literally witnessed a friend of mine die in front of me. You know, a lot of career uncertainty was happening in 2025. You know, like I could go on, that I don't want to air everything out on here, but a lot of bad things were happening. But like a lot of people wouldn't know. They only saw like a couple of highlights and like, oh my God, you're living the dream. It's like,
Yeah, no, no, yeah, of course. That's the thing. And then you don't want to complain either, because if you have blessings, you're like, well, I'm so fortunate.
right, right. Like, you know, I don't completely discount it. Like, you know, of course, even though I do say 2025 was the worst year of my life, like, there were definitely, I'd be dumb if I were to say, like, there weren't some, like, awesome moments on there, like the couple of ones I just listed. And, like, you know, there were some
Sure,
personal
sure,
ones
yeah.
there too. Like, you know, one was with my family, my daughter, etc. Like, you know, I had an amazing Father's Day, probably one of the best days of my life with my daughter, taking her to Six Flags. Like, you know, there were moments for sure that were just awesome, cool moments. But you know, I would be lying if I said the bad didn't outweigh the good.
For sure, yeah. There's just, there's times where I always feel guilty complaining because it's like, oh, I feel really blessed in life. And it's just like, um, 2025, around March, I shot a series. Um, it's actually, I know I was talking with the director. I was actually doing ADR today, for the TV show. So it comes out in March. We're trying to fit. I don't know the exact dates, but it's like March. I think mid to late March. It's going to be at AMC Plus, AMC All
Oh,
Black.
nice.
It's a cool little
Congrats.
series called, thank you. It's called Dope Unit. I play a special agent, Danny Reyes. It's really cool. It's gonna be fun. I think audiences are gonna really love it. But when I had booked that, I was in between agencies, managers. That was like a shit show, my rep situation. And on top of that, I was taking on every dubbing job, voiceover job that I could, and we were shooting that at nights a lot.
Mm. Oh
So
yeah,
for
I
like
do remember you saying
a
this.
month
Yeah.
and 2 months, I was, and again, not to complain, but like during the day, I was a voiceover. At night, I drive down to the set where we were shooting, a lot of overnight shots. Just it was a really oof, tough on the body, that shoot,
Right.
a
Right.
tough time. But I don't do no regrets. I had a great, I think it's going to be a great show. But I, definitely earned some stripes and some scars and during that process. And I think that's what it is too. A lot of people think it's all glorious, but when it's like a feast or famine industry. So when it rains, it pours. Um, so yeah, you just have
Yeah,
to.
and even like, you know, when you have the highest of highs, you never know what's going to happen next. You know, like this industry, just like things come in waves. You know, like I hate to bring up some times, but like, you know, I'm sure with you were on a hit Marvel TV show at one point. You know, like, Cloak and Dagger.
Right.
You know, and okay, I mean, I feel like you know, Marvel fans, I'm sure they want to hear about that experience. So let's do some fan service here. Might as well.
Sure, sure, sure. I had gotten cast in a series called, it was actually a recast because I don't know, I don't know how it was a recast. I know the gentleman that I recasted for was, another ethnicity, that
Oh
wasn't,
wow. Okay.
yeah, it wasn't true to that character that they wanted. I think there was an issue with the rights of this. So, in the Marvel, comics, there's a comic book character named Francis Xavier Delgado, right? And Francis Xavier Delgado lives in the world of Spider-Man, and a Cloak and Dagger. That's where
Mhm.
he lives, in that world. And so when I booked it, I was like, oh my God, I booked a comic book character. This was like blown.
Yeah, so yeah, that must have been. I made it.
That was a fun one. That was we were already living in New York at the time, and this is again following this is actually really this is a cool little story for listeners that are actors out there and artists and just listening to your gut. I had gotten an audition for this play for a playwright that I really love at the Signature Theater. And I wound up getting a call back, and I go, "Oh my God, the Signature! It's a great place to do a play. This is like everything, right?" But I wound up getting a call back for this military guy, you know what I mean? And I had gotten it went through different casting directors. So first it was like a military guy named Agent something, another guy, Agent something. But then it was a priest. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do everything in my power to not play this character like a priest.
Smart move.
Whatever they say is the opposite of how I want to play this role. And that's what I did. But anyway, long story short, um, when I got the call back for it, my actor's accent said LA.
Mm.
And they were like, I was like, well, I'm already like a year into living in New York. I never changed my actor's access. So they thought I was still living in California.
Oh no.
So they wanted to do a network test. And I was like, okay, can I just do it on like I don't even know Zoom if Zoom existed or is a really early stage.
Skype, I guess. Right.
Yeah, I was like, can I just do go on tape or sell whatever? And they're like, no, no, they want to meet, they want to see you in person. And I remember with my agent at the time, she was like, what do you want to do? And I go, well, I got a call back for the signature, but I can't do the callback, and I also can't do the callback in LA at the same time. Like I can't do the thing at the same time, right?
Right.
You can't be in two places at once. This is pre-pandemic, by the way, just a few years.
Pre-AI.
And so I remember I was like, I'm gonna book a last minute flight. I used up all my miles. I was like, I need to get on the next flight to LA. Just literally like, bam. I think my dad was in town and he gave me a lift straight up to JFK, and I was like, I'll figure it out. I didn't have any clothes with me. I literally just was like, I'm just gonna go. I literally just left.
Oh
It was
wow.
like 6 o'clock at night. I literally just and I just got on the next because my chemistry read was at like I think it was like from like 9 to like 1. That was like the time frame for me. And so I took a flight to LA. I got an Airbnb in North Hollywood and I rented this guy's living room.
Oh
He
my
said it was a
God.
room. It was a living room covered
Oh no.
in it was really cool. He had covered it in drapes of bath drapes, bathtub drapes. And he was like that, and it was like an air mattress, and he's like, "This is your private room, man." And I was like, "That's all I need."
I would have
Um,
laughed. I would have like, oh, that's funny. Oh, no,
yeah,
that's real. Oh, okay. This is how I die. Great.
exactly. And so I remember tr coming back home that weekend. I was scheduled to come back on Monday, and then that Saturday I got the call. So Friday was the audition. Saturday they let me know that I
Oh
booked it,
wow. That's
and that
amazing,
was
dude.
such a weird. This industry could play games with you because 6 months prior, I booked a pilot for a big studio, and I remember um, it didn't get picked up. So
God.
only maybe 6, 7 months prior, I was living in Canada shooting a pilot, and then I got back to New York, and I didn't have any reps, so you know, I was doing background work. I was doing stand-in work just to make my insurance.
Wow.
So a few days
Wow.
prior to booking this, I was doing stand-in work for months just so I can, gotta make a living.
I think more actors can relate to that than they care to admit to. I mean, I've done it myself too, where I swore I'd never go back to background after like, booking some stuff. And then it's just like the industry does change where you find yourself like, I need to make some money. Like, I need to like, we need to live in between.
And I've been a union member most at this point more than half of my life. So you go, this is important because, I'm going into like that place in my life where you're like, oh, pension, I need
The pension, exactly. Yeah.
health, pension
Health
and health.
insurance.
Yeah, so we're just like, okay, I need those health medical benefits and all that stuff. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to get my medical insurance through through SAG for many years now. Um, but yeah, but that was a cool look. That was a really cool experience. That was a cool journey. I
Did
wish
you
it
get like
lasted.
did you get like fandom from that? Because I know people are obsessed with Marvel.
You know what's funny? I'm not really in the social media world too much, but again, this year I was like, okay, I'm gonna rev it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I did. I got the immediately after booking that, it wasn't even deadline. It was a Entertainment Weekly article
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
online. And then I came out on Entertainment Weekly, like Mario Lopez, like Entertainment Weekly, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. They have it on TV. And I was like, when I was announced, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then when that hit social media, there's a lot of people I hadn't talked to in a bunch of years, came out of the woodworks, and
God, that always happens, does it not? Like you book something, like they see you on
yeah,
TV, or it's just like,
exactly. I was
I
like,
always believed in you. It was like, no, you didn't.
yeah, or like, people disappear and then they come back, or new
Right.
people that I didn't know. But that was, I think before you had to pay for it or something, but I got a blue check mark on Instagram. And that was kind of cool. That was actually really neat. The show, what we were doing is because there was another show called The Runaways that they were really marketing because we were on ABC Freeform. So they were really pushing the show on ABC Freeform. So we would do like tweet chats and Instagram live stuff. So that like I think that brought me up to like 50,000 followers at one point, and I was really in it. It was like a real like new thing for me. But it was cool. We got to do a lot of uh, press junkets and cast junkets, premieres. I remember being invited. Marvel had invited us to the premiere of Endgames, the Avengers Endgames.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was just so surreal, man. They were like checking the car that picked us up. They like had a check for bombs and the red carpet. It was like
Oh,
really
wow.
everyone they had to really check for security. And when I got to the purple carpet, I was the first one interviewed, I remember. And I was just like, all right, I'm playing it cool. And then like I see Robert Downey Jr. and like Chris Helmsworth was there and like Chris Pratt and like all these people. And I was like, oh wow, this is wild.
Was it that must have been a surreal experience, man. So when are we going to see your trailer for like, your character will return for Avengers Doomsday? That's got to be coming soon, right?
Yeah, right. I love I just was, I remember for like while we were doing the show, they were talking about possibly casting me in a spin-off of some kind of Spider-Man thing, and it was just kind of like, oh, that'd be great, man, to go back into that world. But it was kind of a cool time, but it was short-lived. It was like about 3 years because we did 2 seasons, and then on the third season, I was getting ready to pack up our stuff. There was some stuff with our producer had left, and we were like, are we going back? It was very weird. It was a very season three was like this, and it just fell through the cracks, and then boom, the pandemic hit, and I was like, all right, here goes.
Yeah. Was it canceled before the pandemic, or was it pandemic
Like
and then
right in the middle, like right in that space. I remember I was shooting a movie. I actually shot a really cool movie with Jason Sudeikis in Dallas, Texas. And I remember um, hearing about it like right there. And we were like that was a Universal movie. And it was like the last studio film that was shooting. We were doing like what is it called? The elbow bumps on set.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a trip, man. It was cool. I got a chance to have like my own baseball card with tops.
That's cool. Do you still have it?
I don't have any of them because what they made me do was they would send them to me in the thousands, and I just have to like sign my autograph and then send them back. But I'm sure they're on eBay somewhere. I could see it.
I
You know,
gotta see it.
I could buy one on eBay, which is ridiculous.
How much is it worth? I'm curious right
I
now.
don't know. If you put my name on eBay, you might see it. But yeah, no, it was a cool. Like I got a lot of. I'll be honest. I got a lot of work from that, and I got a chance
I'm
to
sure.
enter a lot of worlds that made sense and some didn't make sense. There was a very it's a very reputable company in New York that does that puts on amazing theater. And it's one of those companies that you're like knock on the door and you kind of can't get through. And I remember as soon as like the news hit about this, they called my agent and was like, "Yo, they want to meet me." And I was like, "This is so wild, man."
That's so cool. Was that the inspiration though for Vampire for Hire? It's like, the Vampire for Hire, you play a vampire, an
Yeah.
actor who's in a successful TV show and it gets canceled because of the pandemic, right? And then you happen to be the vampire for these parties. Was that the inspiration behind it? Like,
You know what? I don't subconsciously maybe, but now that you point a good thing out, maybe it could have been that, or it could have been that I was really obsessed watching Cameo videos back then.
fair enough.
I think Cameo, but I think we all art comes from our subconscious anyway, even if we want to admit it or not. There's something there, you don't know why, but it comes out, I guess, in writing and performance, and it's all we really have to work with is our own stories, right? So I'm pretty sure, man, somewhere down the line it was there. But yeah, no, that was a really cool time, and I could definitely say like, hey, check something off the list, being a Marvel character, that was definitely like a huge thing for me, and on but what I think what gave me a very healthy attitude about everything was I stayed doing a lot of theater in New York. I did a lot of theater during in between seasons. I did small theater, actually, a lot of black box theater, and I never forgot to make like little short films with my friends and do indies, you
That's
know.
amazing. That's amazing.
And
I feel like the mantra, like the what your friend gave you, as you're doing dubbing, stumble forward. It seems like
yeah.
you always find a way to stumble forward, no matter what life throws your way, which is admirable, man. I have to
Oh,
say.
thank you, man. Yeah, yeah. It's just, it's one of those things you just stumble forward, and now it's like, okay, there's a new chapter in my life too, at post shooting Sid. And so now it's like a new thing, and I'm excited to start editing tonight.
Let's go. I'm excited to see how that comes out, man. Like it was like, when I was with you throughout the rest of the day and just like overseeing some of the things, like, oh, this is shot really well. Like I'm trying to see like your vision for it and whatnot. It's an interesting concept for a story. And what this year you think or next year?
Oh, I mean, fingers crossed. We're hoping to hit the deadline of the end of March to submit it at the Cannes Film Festival. I mean, we go big or go home, man, on this
Let's
one.
go. Let's go, man.
So if the film gods align, we're talking 3 months if the film gods are with us.
Dude, my mom watches every one of these, and ever since I got into acting and whatnot, my mom always say like, no matter where you are, no matter what in life, if you ever have a movie and you go to Cannes, you have to bring me as a date. So like her ears definitely perked up listening to this for sure.
Okay, okay, good. All right, mom. You're the date. So,
She's 80 years old, man. Like, we gotta make this happen.
oh yeah, no, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. If it's not Cannes, it's going to be some other huge one. So the good thing about this movie is, like with shooting Sid, like I said, normally, like I have gone down this like down the gamut of like, hey, let's raise money for this. Let's work with investors, private equity. Um, let's work with production companies. I did that a couple times, actually a decent amount of times, to know that there's room for everything, right? There's space for those types of movies. There's space for, you know, TikTok reels. There's space for everything. And then there's space for like indies. And one of the things was my partner Mark and I we spoke about this, and he's a lovely human being and a great actor, a great writer. He said, we were like, if we don't make this now, we're going to spend the next 2 to 3 years trying to raise money. We'll
Hmm.
just figure out how to shoot this now. And I think the fact that we wrote a more expensive version of this movie that we sold, that we option sold and got the rights back, it just leads you to, if you can see how long you've been an actor, we actually optioned that movie in 2016.
Wow. Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like a
Yeah, so
full circle moment.
you really go, okay, this is like, do we just keep trying to sell it? I've optioned 3 screenplays on my own. And you go, wow, and none of them got made. And they were very reputable companies, you know. I've optioned to 2 studios and, a pretty big time producer. But it just goes to show you that I think we're in at least me, I was not in the place where I'm like, I want to spend the next 3 years raising money for this or figuring it out. So Mark and I were like, hey, let's just pool some of our resources and let's try to at least make this on our own. And I say the word try because every step of the way, as you get older, you start doubting, life gives you a little bit of doubt and fear, right? And so I was like very moving forward trepidatiously. And I was like, all right, I'm kind of scared, but I'll shoot again today. I'll shoot again tomorrow. We shot with a very minimal crew, and our DP
Yeah.
shot with Brad, amazing. Um, we were just like, let's just figure things out along the way. And if we figure it out along the way and happens to get made, then cool.
I mean, like, look, man, like, you already got a deadline for it. You have a lot of things going here for me. You have momentum. Um, and like, you've always found a way, I feel like, with anything you've ever done here. I feel like I remember when you came to me to ask for Vampire for Hire, I
Yeah.
said, like, I'm investing in you because I believe in you. You have a great track record. You know, you always follow your gut, and just something always happens positive here. And I think the same for shooting Sid. Great feelings about it. You're very motivated with it. You're all in on it.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm all in. I'm all in because we're not surrounded by investors or a production company. It's
that's
just
huge.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember telling my neighbor, like, hey, it's just us. We don't have a lot of finances and it's just our own resources. And he was like, that's a good thing. Don't think that's a bad thing because you don't have to answer to anyone other than yourself. And I was like, oh, that's a cool way of looking at things. And I was like, okay. And I think we're in the space of like festivals are taking chances at these micro budget films again, So you're starting to see not everything, but you're starting to see Sundance is like studio level,
yeah,
2 million, 3 million. But then you are seeing these like, oh, that came out of nowhere. That wasn't a really big budget, or the after midnight specials that are a lot of the film festivals are having. Like I think South by has it, Sundance, kind
I
of
think
like it's like an offshoot, but it's still part of the film festival, but it deals with like very niche kind of things.
yeah, I think Palm Springs has one too. Um,
Yeah,
but
After Dark, something like that.
yeah. No, yeah, because I mean, there's an appetite for it. Like I know people are talking right now with like the merger with Netflix and Warner Brothers. Like, they're worrying about like, what does this mean for the future of cinema and movie theater? But like obviously, with indie filmmaking, I just feel like it's a lot of grittiness here, and they just find a way. Like, what do you think? Before I let you go, I know we've been at this for an hour now, so I know
No,
you
no,
have
no.
things you got
That's
to
all good.
do.
No, that's all good. I think it's not just me. I think people find artists are resilient. We're a resilient tribe, and we'll find a way. And I think as long as audiences yearn to go to the cinema, I think we'll be okay. Um, Obviously, look, this has replaced a lot of things, right, in the world. Um, but I think there's something beautiful about the experience about going into a theater,
Yeah.
and it's cathartic,
Oh,
you know.
totally, man. Like I fell in love with movie theater at such a young age. You know, like that's one thing. Like my dad and I do remember my oldest brother, my fondest memories going to the movie theater. You know, getting that popcorn, that fresh popcorn smell. You know, experiencing that together. Sometimes the floor is sticky, sometimes not. You don't question it, but like you're experiencing something together, and it's magical, man. Like the trailers and all of that, and like I showed my daughter. She's 3, turning 4. I showed her a trailer. We haven't taken her to movie theater yet, maturity reasons, and I don't want to be that parent, crying, screaming kid, kicking them,
Sure.
while they're kicking out of the theater. But like I showed her like a trailer for Moana, the live action one, because she's obsessed with Moana. And her eyes just like lit up, man. It was the coolest thing to see. I was like, Carly, it comes out in November. Do you want to go to the movie theater to watch this? And she asked, like, what the movie theater is. So I was explaining to her again, eyes lit up, and like she's like, yeah, I want to go. I'm like, all right, cool. So like it's like I can't wait to have that experience with her. And like it kind of kills me when like I hear people saying about like, is this the death of the cinema? Is this the death of the movie theater? Because like it can't be, man. Like it might be a novelty, but like it can't fully die.
Yeah, I think it's an art form that is changing, that it's you kind of have to keep with up with the times. And I think that whole like day and date release, like it's also out in the theaters and the same day it's streaming. There's some movies that like I saw was it Jay Kelly in the theaters because I really wanted to see it in the theaters. It was on Netflix, but I was like, want to go to the theaters, and we got to go, and it was cool. Adam Sandler was there, but that's a whole nother. We went to the screening with Adam Sandler.
That's so
But
cool.
but I think there's some movies that are meant to really enjoy in the theater. So yeah, you're right. It might be a novelty, but who knows the next generation if they're gonna, I think the industry goes in waves. What's cool is, look at dress styles. I didn't think I'd be wearing baggy jeans again, but you know,
True.
but I
True.
am. So I think, everything comes in waves, and as long as you stay true to your art, I think you'll be fine. And most artists just find a way. Um, but look, this is like seasons, right? And I think that's everything in life is seasons. Like maybe 2025 was a winter for you, right? This is now you're coming into like the spring year for yourself, and this is the year of, what was it? The year of the horse is the year of the horse, I think.
Oh, I have no idea actually.
One of those things. So yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not a big fan of those kind of thinkings, but I do think everything has a season. Like I think for me, like 2024, 2025 was a lot of theater, a lot of dubbing, a lot of, doing more indies and, then hopefully go back into television. I do commercials as well. So it's just like you kind of play all angles of this industry. So I think there's some kind of joy of not knowing. The not knowing is what keeps us in it.
Right. Right. I mean, I think in a way, us being actors or like, us just being entertainment, like we're kind of thrill seekers in a way. Like, this is not a normal 9 to 5 job. There are no like normal hours on this. Like it's pretty much your whole life. Like it's just no days off. Like even if I'm on vacation or even if I'm always thinking of like ways to create. It's like or if I'm watching something, I'm like watching for inspiration. I'm watching like I'm kind of learning. Like the mind is always going for this. Um, because I just love it. I'm obsessed, and like I know you are too. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, and finding new filmmakers is still something I really enjoy doing. Like I really love, of course, like Netflix and Amazon, like everybody else, but or Disney Plus, plug to Cloak and Dagger is on Disney Plus now, but
yes, let's go.
like sites like Canopy, I'm like, whoa, Canopy is like my favorite thing right now.
Yeah, people don't talk about it too much, but like, yeah,
Canopy,
shout out to Canopy. Yes,
shout out to Canopy. You need the library card. That's all you need.
right. That's all you need. Bring back the library card, damn it.
I'm a big fan of the library and the library card, and I think that's the thing where you can educate yourself, and a lot of younger people. this is good and bad. I think there's the good in I think Gen Z and I love, the young people, what they're doing and just kind of being out, just doing it, not asking for permission, which I really enjoy about, seeing like Gen Z just do shit, I think the backlash of that is even healing into the millennials is like people are very quick to call themselves I am this or I am that. I am a this, I am a that. I am a without really studying too much about that thing.
Yeah.
Like I have a
No, for
camera.
sure.
I'm a cinematographer, now all of a sudden,
It's like, no, you're not. You just because you have a Google phone, like,
yeah. Yeah, like I think people we have to go back to the days a little bit of paying their dues a little bit.
yeah. Well, you know what? That's the thing, though. Like Gen Z, I admire them, but yet at the same time, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I admire them in the fact that like they're taking control, right? Like they are understanding like I don't have to ask for permission anymore, right? Because of the cell phone, I can create my own IP. I can make money doing this, being creating content on here on my own time. I could be creative, and I don't necessarily have to be a movie star. Like you don't
Right.
really hear too many Gen Zers talking about being a movie star.
Right.
Like they want to be an influencer, they want to be a content creator, and like there's power in that, and they understand that. But then at the same time, so I respect that because that's hustle. That's not something you just like one day just do wake up and like, you're gonna be successful doing that. That's work. But then at the same time, like, me being an actor and all that, just like you guys are killing the industry here, man. Because the studios are seeing that and they're freaking out.
Right. We'll be doing verticals in the future,
Oh, don't even get me started.
but yeah, I do think that there's a beauty of studying a little bit, like
Yeah.
know your craft and know your history of a lot of things, because I think um, that can make someone kind of like I think when you have a good foundation on things, it's a much easier road to make for yourself,
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Foundation's not very strong, you'll definitely fall.
Because I'm starting to see, like, especially like I've noticed on, I don't know if you ever see the show, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yes.
but like I'm starting to see within the last couple of seasons some TikTokers that I've laughed, I enjoy their content, starting to be like day players or whatnot on that show. I'm like, oh, good for you, right? But like you don't necessarily see too many like TikTokers have success in translating over onto a Netflix series on their own or whatever. Like you may see it every now and then like something where they're on it, but like not necessarily like to carry the whole show.
Right, right. I did. Well, look, with everything good comes its bad, and vice versa. So you're just like, okay, well, this is right now. This is the Wild West. It's open season, right?
Right.
That's what I love in film too. Look, I'll be honest. I went to a film festival called the No Budge Film Festival. Shout out to No Budge. I had a movie on there before. It's a film festival and it's a platform where they show no budget movies. Okay. If you have a budget, they don't want it.
Really.
Okay.
Like they're not even being like, like
Yeah,
you literally have zero budget.
yeah, I mean, you have a little bit, but it's really catered simple stories, new idea, new types of stories, but it's really catered to like films with no names, like just, I think every actor should make a short with their friends and try to at least submit to No Budge. And the No Budge Film Festival, it's in Brooklyn. I don't know if it's quarterly. It's in I forgot what part. It's like Prospect Park. And I remember going to the film festival and I met these filmmakers out of London. They had submitted a short film about skateboarding and which I was a skater back in the
Yeah.
day.
Right.
But they had shot it on this like 90s camcorder. And I was like, "Oh my God, this is so good. Why didn't I make this?" You know? Then I saw another one. It was like a parody of Friends, and it was about what happens when the laugh track's over and they go back, like you turn off the TV and they go back into their lives. It was
Oh
so creative.
wow. That's so good.
and to see these like young kids go on stage and just talk about like lack of resources, lack of this, lack of that. And I said, wow, I think I'm gonna take a note from that.
Hmm.
So I kind of was like, yeah, I'm twice their age. I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna look at that playbook and see what that look can look like for our film. And I was constantly like reminding myself of the films I seen at the film festival and going, okay, if we just get into No Budge, or if I'll shoot for the stars of No Budge, or if we, but not to think like, okay, I'm making this film for the Cannes Film Festival or Sundance. We shot this movie just to go like, hey, let's make a good movie and we worry about everything later. And to have that is a huge blessing.
Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense because like it's kind of like in a sense like when you are auditioning, right? And you're like, "Oh, it's an HBO project. Oh, so it's directing. Oh, I can make this much money doing that." Right? And like you kind of get blinded by that, right? And if you focus too much on that, then it's going to take away from your actual work. You're going to be results
Exactly. Yeah,
oriented.
no, no, no,
So,
exactly.
so it's kind
And
of like that in the sense what you're talking about.
yeah, and I think even to this day as an actor, like if I have an audition and I know what it's for, and I'm like, of course I'll know what it's for, but I never
Yeah,
want
no, yeah.
headspace of like, oh, this is gonna change my life. No, if you do that, then there's no joy in the pro. You have to have fun in the process of making things, man.
Right.
And
It's like you're going back to like the day one of like, why am I in this to begin with? Like, no one's doing this for the money because if we were, like, we would
sure,
have done
sure.
something else with our lives, right?
No, exactly, exactly. Look, and it's feast or famine. Some years it's been great, some years not so
Of
great.
course, it is a business. You do need to make money doing
And
this, of course.
and it's just like one of those years where it's just like, look, I made a lot of money doing commercials, and those commercials paid more than paid the bills, but they were very also like not gratifying, right? And it's
Yeah.
not doing the play. So then you're just kind of like, okay, that's why I think for me, my mantra is like, okay, I'm just gonna do it all and kind of, go back to like the innocence of just like, hey, if I want to do a play this month, I'll do a play this month. I'll figure it out how to get a play or book a play. Um, I just did a play that you came. Thank you for coming at the
Oh
amphitheater
my God, it was amazing, dude.
off Broadway. Thank you. And so I always will figure out that stuff, right? Like how to like stay creative, always be part of like a good circle of healthy people out here. I live in Los Angeles again, but I always try to like, dip my toes and just go back east a little bit and not forget my friends in New York.
Thank you.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with shooting Sid. Maybe I'll have to be back east for the edit just to get a little bit more involved in the let's see where we go with this thing.
Hit me up,
So
my man.
absolutely. So I think for the next like at least I'll end it with this. Um I was at a froyo shop in Sag Harbor, Long Island. And this was, I believe, it has to be pre-pandemic. Definitely like right before the pandemic. And I remember Ed Burns, if anyone out here, he's a great filmmaker, actor, Long Island guy.
Love him.
He, I was like, hey, Ed, he wrote a book called Independent Ed. Shout out to that book. I think every artist should read that book, buy a copy of that. Um, Independent, I don't know, Mark, if you had a chance to read it, but definitely I would recommend to anyone to read this
Oh yeah,
book.
for sure.
And so um, I go up to him and I said, "Hey, Ed, I just I'm reading your book right now, all these things." And it's really he was there with his kids and he took some time to just like talk to me and listen, which is really a lot of artists don't know what that can mean for the other artists. So I always try to like be an ear for artist friends of mine as well, and if they need advice or anything like that, because I don't think we could underestimate what it could mean. But it meant the world to me that he was like listening to me and we're talking about this book and stuff. And I remember he said, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a series regular right now for a Marvel series, blah blah blah." And he goes, "No, I don't think you understand me." I said, "What are you working on?" And I said, "Oh,
Oh,
understood, understood." And I said, "Well, there's this film that I want to shoot in Long Island." And he's like, "Tell me about it." He's like, "Well, it's about like 15, 20 minutes." And so like I remember that, and I was like, "Wow, like this guy's really like he's putting me onto game by saying that."
right. That's so cool.
Yeah. So that echoed through me for a long time. And I had done a feature like I directed a feature that was out in had a small theatrical release in I think 2016, 2015, I think. And it was okay. It was a great experience, but I kind of stopped there and just to kind of really focus on acting. But I really was like, I gotta get another one out. I gotta knock another feature out. I gotta get back in that game, right? Of what are you working on? And so for me, it was this opportunity when it didn't even come up the opportunity. We just made the opportunity by just doing the damn thing and giving yourself the opportunity, right? Because
Right.
I think as an artist, you can tell yourself all the reasons why you shouldn't do it, and then you could then not listen to that and just do it anyways.
No, that's amazing, and like that's a great note to end on. Like I feel like I feel bad because I told you at the beginning, like it's an hour tops, man. We've definitely exceeded that at this point. But you've been more than generous, and I feel like what you talk about with Ed Burns, we did for you. I feel like that's who you are in general. Like that's who you've been for me. And I do have to say, I couldn't end this without like giving you your flowers for A, what you do, and to B, like what you've done for me as a friend, as a co-creator, as an actor. Like I do owe a lot to you, and I want to say thank you because you've been nothing but generous. You've been nothing but kind, and you didn't have to. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's always good to open up the doors and for your fellow artists when you can, I think I would be lying to say I've done it on my own. No, I've done it with a lot of there's been strangers who've helped me along the way that I'm like, why did and the second I could get arrogant and be like, I did this on my own, nobody helped me. You're like, no, that
No,
casting director remembered me. She brought me back in. I remember I was up for a TV show recurring many, many years ago. And it was not the casting director, it was the casting director's assistant that really like fought for me to get that job. And
yeah, that's awesome.
I remember those people and you're just like, you just want to help them. And you're like, what can I do for you? Can I help you out?
Right, and that's why I always feel with you. Like, dude, anything I can do to help you, like I'm in.
And sometimes it's just kind of paying it forward to pay it forward is to help, right? To create
Right.
new energy and create other opportunity and create yourself a tribe. And that's what I do say to a lot of artists, especially a lot of younger artists, is find your tribe, man.
Ah, it's
Find
so
your tribe
huge.
because you will eat off of that. You know what I mean? And that's not just because you're, there's a difference. LA has a really bad rap for like you meet people at a party and they're like, what can you do for me? What can I do?
Yeah.
And
But
that's
there's people like that in New York too, though.
yeah, that's in every industry. But you can kind of see it out here, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's a little bit cringe at this point when you meet people, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
there are good eggs, though.
hey, here's what you know.
It's funny. Like, I'm turning 40 soon. I should probably edit this part out. But, my wife is throwing like a big party for me, right? And like, I want to invite like everyone, right? And from like my friends from high school, family, and they're like actor friends as well. And I was like really going through the list of like my acting friends. Just like, wow, most of my acting friends are in LA. Like they don't necessarily live in New York. I have a few that live here in New York, but it's like I feel like most of the people like it's interesting. Like my tribe, I would say that I would have are in LA. So I think LA does get a bad rap because there are definitely good eggs over there.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. But there's genuinely like I'm definitely part of a good tribe out here of a lot of theater people and people that are genuine artists that just want to do things for the sake of doing it. But yeah, I think look, find that tribe and stick to them and stick to the people who are genuinely in the have good intention, you know what I mean? And I think look, there's really good people out there and some people you vibe with and some people you're like, "Hey man, you'll know though." And again, this is like you're an actor so you're feeling more than the next person and I think that's what I think everybody in this planet should take an acting class. Uh, just for that.
Right? Like I say to people all the time, it's just like oh I don't what do I say? Like, oh I don't know if I could ever be an actor, right? I'm like, why do you say that? It's like you do it all the time. Everyone acts,
Right,
right?
of
Like
course they do.
they
Yeah.
just don't realize it. But like yeah, it's I love it. There's nothing else like it. And I know we're running way over time. So Jaime, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I didn't even get to some of the stuff I really wanted to get into. I'd have to have you back on another time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and just, just to kind of like the last thing I wanted to say is just make sure you find the tribe of not just any tribe, but find like-minded people like yourself and like-hearted people like yourself, and you'll see not everyone's out to use you, and you could even make some genuine friends along the way, and help
Absolutely.
each other out.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And that's really what's about. It's the connections. Um, that's more important than anything else. But thank you
Absolutely.
again, my friend. We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
talk soon. Cheers.
Thank you, man. All right, cheers.
Man, I didn't even cover half the stuff I wanted to get to with him. Um, Amazing dude. Like seriously, like I really don't know where I would be in this career without him. He's helped me with get my commercial agent at Innovative when he didn't have to. Um, he's had me along the ride for a couple of films that he's had done. Like truly, truly amazing dude. I got my first Deadline article because of him as well. Um, and just a natural born hustler. Like recently, a friend of mine in the industry complimented me, the greatest compliment I could probably ever get, saying, she's saying I'm the hardest worker in showbiz, which I know is a lie, but like, man, I do work my ass off, and like, for someone to think that of me is awesome, but I have to give it up to my boy Jaime here. He makes me look lazy, which I know I'm not, and like it just makes me level up. And you always hear the phrases of like, if you're the hardest working room, or if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I am very fortunate enough to be in the room with him because I'm always learning, I'm always evolving, and it forces me to level up. And I had him on because I think we could use some inspiration right now, could use some knowledge. Again, like, he's a master with like, budgeting and financing and getting investors for movies and whatnot. We didn't even get to discuss that. I have to have him on another time to get into that. But Jaime, thank you again. And thank you to my listeners and followers here. Continue to support Beyond the Take podcast. You could subscribe, like, share these videos, spread the word, spread the love. If there's anyone that you want to have on, if there's anyone you want me to have on, uh, feel free to let me know. If there's a subject you want to know more about, let me know. I know we are living in interesting times right now in the industry, but it's a new year, 2026. Hell, in the middle of this recording, I just got an audition. So I guess maybe we're starting the things off right. We shall see. But until next time, much love, my friends. Cheers.